Hello, women of the Channel Leadership Network. I'm Jackie Rives, your community leader, and welcome to another Woman of the Week. This week, I am very excited to introduce you to Cassie Jeppson, Director of North America Channel Programs and Operations for Lenovo. Hi, Cassie. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks so much for having me, Jackie. I'm super excited to get to spend some more time with you.
Me too. All right. Well, let's get to know you a little bit better. So if you don't mind sharing, where do you live and where did you grow up, if that's different?
Sure. So we live in Dixon, Tennessee. It's about an hour outside of Nashville. This was a COVID move for us. So we bought a farm and raised pigs and chickens out here. Growing up is another interesting story. I've actually never lived in the same house more than 3 years my entire life. So my family moved around a lot when I was a kid. And then when I got married, then we moved around for different career opportunities. So I think I'm going on, I think 8 states. Some of them I've lived in more than once.
Wow, that's actually kind of cool. As a kid, you getting to see like all these different places, but I'm sure maybe when you were younger, you were like, no more moves.
Definitely has its pros and cons.
Yes. Okay. What is a little known fact about you?
Oh, I don't know. I guess I really enjoy cooking. And I often disengage by just, taking advantage of some kitchen therapy. There's nothing better to work out your problems than kneading some bread.
I love that. Love it. You and I definitely have that in common. All right. Well, let's talk more about your career path and how you reached the position you're in today.
Yeah, so I've had a really unconventional journey, but somehow each step really helped to prepare me for where I am today. So this may be a little wordy, but just bear with me and I'll bring it back around. So I got my first job when I was 15, and I was a hostess at a local brunch restaurant when we lived in Texas. My dad worked in restaurants, so it was a really natural first job for me to go through restaurants as well. I ended up loving it. I actually held every position possible in restaurants, from hostess to server, manager, bartender. I was even kitchen manager for a while. Along that path, I had been responsible for training, scheduling, working with vendors, inventory management. I was actually first introduced to P&L management in the restaurant and learned some of the best customer service lessons there. I really think, man, if you can make people happy when they're hangry, then you can tackle any of those customer service challenges. From there, I worked in a jewelry store. I sold a ton of diamonds and learned about relationship selling. I actually had a customer that took a business call during one of my diamond presentations. He worked for a company called WOTC, which was a copier manufacturer and sales company. I'd never heard of it. So being very inquisitive, I went home and Googled them. And that night I was so intrigued that I actually applied for a technical sales job. I'll never forget, that was the hardest interview question that I have ever had. And that was, tell me something about you that would make you the topic of my dinner conversation tonight. Honestly, that's a stumper, right? I honestly have no idea what I said, but I got the job. So I did B2B sales for copiers and document management software. So that was my first exposure to technology. I spent more time with the technical team than anyone else. And I was totally dating myself here, but really fascinated with the ins and outs of connected networks and automating print workflows. I was totally hooked. While I was there, I took some time off and had twins. And I tried to go back to work after I had them, and it just wasn't the right timing for our family. So I ended up staying home with my 4 kids for almost 5 years. During that time, I did a lot of volunteer work. I volunteered a lot with the Boy Scouts of America. I was a committee chair there, which meant that I ran the Scout program for our church, including all of the budget management, coordinating and delivering training, fundraisers, awards, recruitment, tracking, you name it. And so by engaging in that volunteer work, I was able to continue to build my resume and sharpen my skills while raising my family. So it was a really great opportunity for me. And then I decided it's time to go back to the workforce. I realized that my love for the channel really came to fruition in that first job back. I was a channel marketing manager, and I helped partners to manage both their MDF dollars, but also ended up developing like custom marketing campaigns, coordinating events, and helping them to drive demand. A lot of business development conversations were had there too while I was having those marketing conversations. And I transitioned into a CAM management role. It was awesome. I was exposed to international business in that role. I was responsible for long tail partners in North America and EMEA. And we focused a lot on building business best practices and enablement for the partners and for my team. So I got involved in a lot of stretch projects and leadership development training programs as well. It really, at that point, felt really natural for me to move into a global partner enablement role. That one was super fun. Not only did I get to travel around and meet partners all over the world, but I developed several partner workshops and got to present at several conferences as well. So within that role, I started working on our corporate strategy. And in that one, that's really engaging in that strategy and planning. That's where I found my voice and where I feel some of my passions. And that also helped me to identify what is that place that I want at the table. So that one was pretty groundbreaking and a true turning point from a career perspective for me. I continued down the path of enablement and training for a few years, and then took on additional responsibilities around operational readiness. Those two don't normally fall under the same umbrella, but I was really able to expand my knowledge and build business acumen by taking that risk and having that diverse perspective and responsibilities. So I learned in this one that it's really important to not just have great mentors, but also to have a sponsor. So that's pretty much where Lenovo comes in. I had a sponsor, a previous leader, that introduced me to a hiring manager for a channel programs role at Lenovo. And these types of introductions had led to my previous 3 roles. So I was really excited for the opportunity to learn something different. I had never directly been responsible for programs, but I had always had an element of contributing to them. And so I took that opportunity to really dive into operations and focus on that area specifically, rather than just contributing through stretch projects. So it's really been an amazing journey, and Lenovo has been both my biggest challenge and the best fit so far. So that's my long-winded career journey.
Well, I'm really glad that you shared it, because I know that there's going to be listeners out there that are definitely going to resonate with that. And I love how you showcased your transferable skills in each one of those roles. Yeah. So amazing. Yeah. Thank you for sharing your journey.
It's definitely more of that spider web or climbing wall type of journey, rather than, that straight ladder. So it's been really fun.
Yeah. But it makes it so interesting, and you pick up so many different skills along the way. So good for you. I love that. Okay. So with that experience, have you ever questioned your abilities and qualifications?
Of course. So I'm typically really confident that anything I set my mind to, I can accomplish, whether it's going outside and building a fence or figuring out how to enhance some business processes. But when I start new positions, I experience more than a little bit of self-doubt. I wonder, what if I made a mistake, or what if my new boss was wrong about the potential that they saw in me? I now realize that I have those thoughts when I'm not confident about the questions that are being asked on calls, or when the information or the topics feel like over my head or foreign. So I have to keep telling myself to get out of my own way. I had a manager once that each day they shared a positive quote and encourage us to have really positive self-talk. It's really true that if you think you can't, then you'll never be able to overcome the challenges. So I've taken that with me. And I'm also a firm believer that things that are worth it aren't necessarily easy. So I try to do a lot of listening to others and asking those questions so that I can continue to learn early on in transitioning to new roles, but also so that I can become confident in answering some of those questions that I've heard. I tend to read a lot and research topics that I come across that are unfamiliar so that I can gain that knowledge and in different perspective. I feel that when I gain that knowledge confidence, then my self-doubt disappears. I think it's like that for a lot of people, both men and women. We're really capable of more than we can imagine. And sometimes we just need to push ourselves to get out of our own way to be able to go where we want to go.
Yeah, I think you're in good company there. I've been in those positions myself many times. I kind of like to think about it as, if I'm uncomfortable, I'm probably in the middle of a challenge, and I just need to do the things that you were saying, ask the right questions and do my research and learn and embrace that.
Yeah, I love what you just said, that if you're uncomfortable, then you're probably onto something. We actually, last night we were watching a Hallmark movie of all things, and that was the line in the movie that really stood out to me, that if you're uncomfortable, you're onto something. And I love that.
I love that. I'm glad you shared that. That's awesome. Okay, I think we have some time. So let's talk about what made you want to be in a leadership position.
Originally I wanted to be in management because I thought I'd be better at it than my current manager was. It was totally out of frustration as an individual contributor. I never felt like they understood like what the true needs of the team were, and they seemed really out of touch with what was happening in the business. And they were the ones that seemed to be making the big bucks and have the influence. So being a leader has really allowed me to help determine how the company overcomes both those short and long-term goals, and to have a bigger impact in allowing people to have a voice. Originally I clearly wanted it for the wrong reasons, but what I found was that I love empowering the team and helping others to reach their potential is just incredibly fulfilling. Lifting those up around me is more of a finding joy element, and helping people to accomplish their goals. So I'm really passionate about doing that. And I found that recently I've realized that I'm actually more patient than I have ever considered myself to be, and even more so when it comes to coaching and helping people to overcome obstacles. So it's become a really passionate area of my life to be able to be in a leadership position where I'm able to help lift people up.
I love that about you. That is a leader right there. Let's see, we might have time for just one more. So let's go with what challenges have you faced in your position as a leader?
Oh man, where do I start? The list of challenges is really long. I really try not to dwell on those things that are out of my control. I want to focus more on overcoming obstacles that are meaningful and helping our team and the folks that are on it to achieve our goals. So whenever I encounter a challenge, I immediately go to solutioning. It's both a blessing and a curse, but the way that I do that is a little bit unconventional as well. I think that's kind of a recurring theme for me. I think about what is the result that I want to achieve by overcoming an obstacle, and then I create a plan around it with the objectives that I feel I need to meet to get the results. And then finally, I make a list of what are those activities that are in my control to perform so that I can ensure that I meet those objectives. I use that tactic for everything from accomplishing my cleaning list to setting annual goals and everything in between. So I really look at every day there's a new challenge. And the list is only going to get longer as you progress in your career. And what may seem like a challenge to me may not be a challenge to others. But whether you're working with developing a new employee, handling performance issues, looking at the status of the economy and overcoming some sales out challenges, then the list is so long every single day that I just have to break it down. And if I dwell on what the challenge is, then it makes me a little less productive. So if I approach it this way, then it turns it into more of a positive rather than a negative challenge.
That's great advice. I know that's going to resonate with many people. it definitely is with me. So I'm definitely going to take that and put that in my toolbox.
Awesome.
Cassie, I can't thank you enough for sharing some of your story again today with us. And we're just so grateful to have you as a champion of women in the channel and the Leadership Network. So thank you so much.
Well, thanks so much for having me. It's always a pleasure, and I like spending time with you. So thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. All right, ladies, that was another Woman of the Week. Please do continue the conversation and, give Cassie some thanks for sharing her story and some great advice with us today. Until next time, happy Wednesday. Bye-bye.